that's kind of
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, are we ready for?
Do you know John? Do you know John Mulaney?
Yeah, I know John Mulaney. You're not personally.
Yeah. My dad and my sister have seen him live. Really good.
That's baller.
Very good. And my dad in the car this morning said that he's very like theatrical. He's really good at changing his voice and doing his expressions and mannerisms versus like a typical stand-up comedian where they're just kind of just talking to a microphone. There's more, a lot more going on in John Mulaney's stand-up comedian, which I thought was interesting insight.
This is the first I've ever heard you mention that you have a
yeah. She's older than me, getting married in August. I'm flying back for the wedding.
That's usually how people fly.
Yeah. Another piece of cake.
Are we gonna watch a documentary?
Yeah, Mama Riser has eaten half of a
Good for her.
birthday cake.
Good for her. Is it
Packing on the pounds.
Is it somebody's birthday?
That's Mama Riser's birthday.
Well, then she's entitled to it. Come on. Happy birthday to Mama Riser. Yeah, quit giving her shit over that. That's fine. That's totally normal.
I only check slightly. I don't mean to nagger too hard, but have you heard of the documentary Best in Show? It's like this dog.
Yeah, it's a mockumentary, and somebody was just what's his name? He loves it. What's the other guy's name? I love it.
You've known Oz for 3 days.
At length. At length, yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a timestamp.
I can give it to you. It was Thursday night at like 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
What day was that? Sunday, Saturday.
It was the night we watched. It was the night we watched the one on Pet Cemetery.
Okay. Recent Thursday.
Yeah, that was the night of Pet Cemetery. Because I went into how I think that just documentaries in general value a narrator, and he's like, well, what about Best in Show or something like that? And I'm like, that's a mock.
So it'll be April 2nd, I think. Saturday 4, Friday 3, Thursday 2. Okay.
I mean,
Alright. Well, we have a documentary similar to the Best in Show, but it's about chicken breeders instead of dog breeders.
Ready for it, big man.
Alright. Buckle up. Fasten your seatbelt.
Sound like donkey. Shout out to Riser. Shout out to Mama Riser. Shout out happy birthday to Mama Riser. Hazoop, what?
Hazoop been in here?
Fucking moment.
Why should it be It's very interesting. You have two brothers. One converted, and they're both brothers. One converted and one split. So brother Ger, brother Ahmed. happened? Their father died. Their father died. You know, they inherit their father. So they want to split the estate. In the estate is idolatry, and let's say forbidden items. So ger yochel loma lo tom ata vodas kohanim ba'ed. Mouse. So ata yain esef manideros. So
Is it
brother
possible
ger
to turn it up? Is it possible to turn it up?
can say to brother Achim, so brother Achim, you take all the idolatry stuff. You take all the yain. And I'll take the money and the neros. You can do that. The mishabol, and that's permitted. However, the mishabol is just like your asr. Obviously, all of this presupposes that the ger has not yet actively taken possession of yain nesach or items. Obviously, once that happens, there's no more recourse. But well, there is recourse. No, you see this. You can get offered to be the back of Sarah, but it's much more. Once that you already owns it, there are really very limited options. So as long as brother Ger has not yet taken possession of these items, no problem. There's no problem dividing up the estate. However, if brother Ger already took possession, then it's possible. So ultimately, again, what do you see from there? Now, in this case, brother Ger wants the continued existence of the idolatry, of the Yayin Esef. But he's not doing anything active to promote its continued existence, and therefore it's mutter. It's mutter. So what's the problem? What's the case over here in this Mishnah? This Mishnah is talking about an idol that's made out of gold or silver, which means that even if it breaks, it's still valuable. So therefore, again, brother Ger doesn't actually care if it remains in its whole state or not. Because even if it breaks, who cares? It still has a value. Which the says that's fine. That works fine for an idol. How would you explain it? Then Yayin Seth, the Pharis Hadriani. So this is very interesting. Hadrianic. So apparently, Rashi points out over here, Hadrianic earthenware ultimately is very absorbent. Therefore, if you put wine in there, the earthenware absorbs the wine to a degree, but you can take a shard of that earthenware, put it in water, and reconstitute water. In that case, also, brother Ger doesn't care if the casks, right? Doesn't make a difference because either way, the value is still retained. To which the Gemara says, one second, one second, even if that's so, even if brother Ger doesn't care about the fact that they were free, right? But he does care whether or not he gets stolen or lost, so he still wants their continued existence. Rapapa, Yerushas, Hager Kamrat, don't bring a riot. You're bringing a riot, you're bringing a proof in the case of the inheritance. Ger, no. Shani Yerushas, Hager, die. Kilu Barabba. Rabbis were makeled by the Yerushalmi. Normally, the Gemara says perhaps this case should be problematic. But halacha l'maisa, Chazal were makeled by the Yerushalmi. And as long as the ger has not yet actively taken possession of the or the idols, he is absolutely permitted to work this out with his brother. Right? And so you take this, you take the stuff, I'll take the stuff. Even though, yes, he wants to continue existence. Why? Why would they make it by a ger? We are afraid that if the ger has to make a choice between his money, his Yerusha, and his religion, he will choose his money and choose his religion. So that's not a knock on the ger. That's a reality of human nature. We've seen this before as well. For example, right? There's some Chazal said that in certain cases of theft, the thief doesn't always have to return that which he stole. Right? The victim should not accept back the stolen item. Why? In order to go ahead and facilitate the thief's treatment. They're afraid if the thief has to return everything, he's not going to pay actually. It's difficult for people to engage in self-sacrifice when it comes to financial matters. Right? Money is necessary. Money is important. And as much as we say, as long as you have your health, it's true. As long as you have your health and you can pay your bills. Right? Because if you don't have money, just things are like and many people did not stand up to religious challenges. There was a choice between religion and were afraid that the ger, if he has to choose between halacha and ultimately again his Yerusha, he may be tempted to choose his Yerusha. Again, not because of a ger, because it's human nature. So the Chazal didn't want to put him in that situation, therefore they would make him by a ger. When you're saying that often in this kind of case, you're going to have an estate that is comprised of permitted items, therefore allow him to keep the permitted items, give his brother all of the permitted. What's that 100 days? Price that supports this. Imagine when is this so? Shirshu, in case of about Mishpat for us. In case let's say the business partnership will be also. So you see from here that Chazal allows certain things to happen in the context of the Yusha that they would not have normally allowed to occur in other contexts as well. Because you don't look at the person in the we don't look at the ger in this precarious type of situation. Incredible. So how do you also so remember again, all of this is the same group of Rabbanim sitting together. Another question that came up. Ger Tosha Mao Shivat Va'ahod. So that's like, this is a very interesting case. Can a Ger Tosha go ahead and I'll say, just before we go on, just this idea that Chazal will make it by the ger, just so you understand the tremendous Mr. Hansi on this. Halacha is structured in a way to make us succeed. The Ribono Shel Olam wants us to succeed. Sometimes people have a very skewed view of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a very skewed view of halacha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is waiting for us to mess up so he can smack it. He's all waiting for us to mess up so he can let me. wants our success. That's more than we want our success. Chazal want our success more than we want our success. And all of the halachas, all of the rules, all of the strictures, all the punishments are only there to put us on a path to success. That's not to smack us down when we go ahead and we make a mistake. But again, Mishpaach understood what we really wanted to be successful. Chazal understood what we really wanted to be successful. And when they need to relax the standards to make us successful, they do it. It's incredible. They do it. When success is accomplished through relaxing of standards, Chazal do it. You have no greater advocate in this world. That's in this world and the next world. In this world, Chazal constantly earning our successes. Okay, another question. Other Yosef Kohen Ger Toshav, Moshe Batlan is consul. This is very interesting, Shalom. Can a Ger Toshav go ahead and abolish or negate idolatry? Remember again, an apple has the ability to negate his idolatry, thereby decommissioning it from its status of theological significance. So Ger Toshav, you want to know what is a Ger Toshav? Now we're going to see this about the definition of a Ger Toshav. Rashi points out very top of the dot, Ger Toshav Eino Ovid Avodas Koch. Ultimately, again, he doesn't worship idolatry. But again, he's like an apple in everything else, except he doesn't worship idolatry. That's a pretty big thing. Right? He believes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He believes in God. He does worship idolatry, but in every other respect, he's a non-Jew. So does such a person have the ability to decommission idolatry, to negate idolatry? Whereas says, on one hand, the Palach Mevat and the Palach Mevat. We say only one who worships idolatry can decommission idolatry. Or maybe not, or we say like this. Anyone who's what we call a bar mineh, if you're in the parsha of an apple, then you can go ahead and decommission it. And this guy is in the parsha. It's not Jewish. It's not Jewish. So because it's not Jewish, he's in the parsha of an apple. So because of that, even though Baruch Hashem, he himself doesn't worship idolatry, but he has the koach to go ahead and negate it. Right, so I'm going to go back to Nachman, so I can also Nachman goes this Stavro, the Palach Mevatel, the Palach. And Nachman says, no, only someone who worships it can negate it. But someone who doesn't worship idolatry cannot negate idolatry. Therefore, the Ger Toshav doesn't have the ability to negate idolatry. So this way, it's a question. This one second. Yisrael, that's how it's called. So, went ahead and found idolatry in the marketplace. Idolatry in the marketplace, what's that level? Actual boss of the online. So let's say, now remember again. So let's say, Rod, listen to this case. I'm walking in the shop, I'm walking in the marketplace. I see a gold idol sitting there on the ground. If I lift it up, that's probably not right because they never acquired it. And once it's been acquired by a Jew, essentially it can't be decommissioned. So what do I do? So before I pick it up, over the Ovid Kochav and Umevat. call over an akum. Remember, there was a if call over an akum. If the akum, I need you to negate this idolatry. Decommission it. Right? Theological decommission. So go ahead and engage in theological decommissioning of those idolatry. And then it becomes permitted. However, again, in Mishabasa Liogo, Eino Omri Oben. But again, what if I take it out? Right? If I take possession of it, at that point it cannot be שאמרו, עובד כוכבים מדבר עבודות כוכבים alone, ושלחבים. עובד כוכבים לעקום, to decommission his own avodah zarah, or the avodah zarah of his friend, בין עובדו, בין שאין עובדו. Whether he worships it or he doesn't worship it. My avodah or my avodah. What does it mean? What does it mean that he can decommission avodah zarah? Whether he worships it or doesn't worship it. If you want to say that both are talking about it properly, then Haynu Shalom Shafari, we already said that. We just said before that has the ability to theologically decommission his avodah and the avodah zarah of his friend. And the love of the Oved Kohanim, my she'in love of the Oved Kohanim, right? Ultimately, again, Ovda means an actual act. My she'in of the, what does it mean? A non-worshipper? Oh, so who is able to go ahead and decommission both an actual and a ger toshav? Shmamino, ger toshav nanu batal. What do you see from here? That a ger toshav has the ability to give a batal, ultimately to theologically decommission avodah zarah. Incredible. Which the Gemara says, no. The olam able to fall idi not true. Rather, could very well be the only person who could decommission avodah zarah is an actual idol worship of himself. I did the Kamrit, Haynu Shal. We already said that. Then the guy says we done it. Because we already said that Akum could go and decommission his avodah zarah and his friend's avodah zarah. The Gemara says, Reish, listen to this. It's two different cases. Reish, Zeh, Zeh L'Pa'ar, Zeh L'Marcos. Reish is teaching you like this. If you have two Akums, right, and both worship Pa'ar, or both worship Marcos. So obviously, again, Akum 1 can negate his idol and his friend's idol, and Akum 2 can negate his idol and his friend's idol. Seifa, Zela Pa'ar, Zela. Oh, the Seifa is teaching something different. Seifa is different. Let's see, one Akum who worships Marcellus and one who worships Baal Pa'ar. What's the novelty over here? An Akum who worship an idolatry even if he doesn't worship. So he'll say, so there are really three halachas we follow. Number one, an Akum can negate his own idolatry. Good. Number two, an Akum can negate his friend's idol if they worship the same idolatry. And halacha number three is an Akum can negate his friend's idolatry even if he worships a different idol. Incredible. So the Gemara says, but again, no raya about a ger toshav, right? So if it's to a ger toshav, we still like because that was our shabbat. Can a ger toshav, which is a Gentile, repudiated idolatry, can he be about love of himself? That was thought of answer. Most basically was Ezu Ger Toshav. What's a Ger Toshav? Hoshe Kibala. So now we're getting more definition. What is the definition of a Ger Toshav? So Zeh Hoshe Kibala B'Knei Mochavirim Shalom La'avod Avodas V'Cham Divem. Meir says it's any Akum who is accepted himself in front of three Chaverim. You know, what's that? Chaver being stabilized before Chaver normally released. Somebody is careful. If Shabbos is nice, is careful of how to do it. So in this context, with Hashem, it just means he has to do it for the base. Anytime an Akum comes in front of a base of Talmidei Chaverim, and he repudiates idolatry, that's a Ger Toshav. That's a Ger Toshav. Good. That's sorry, man. From saying, Hoshe Kibel Allah Sheva Mitzvos. So Hoshe Kibel Allah Sheva Mitzvos Shekibel Reim. From saying, Ger Toshav is any Gentile who has accepted upon himself the 7 nullified laws. Because don't seem to require base. That's a Ger Toshav. Sheva Mitzvos B'nei Noach. That makes it. Chirim Omrim Elu Lo Baal L'Kal Ger Toshav. Natural. Chirim saying natural authentic. Either of these definitions satisfy the definition of Ger Toshav. What is a Ger Toshav? I'm the Isu Ger Toshav. Ze Ger O from the Velos. Shekibel Allah the Kayim. O Mitzos Hamuras Batorah. Chutz Mi'isr Velos. So this is very interesting. What is the definition of the Ger Toshav? The Ger Toshav is someone ultimately again who eats not kosher with the Velos, but he has accepted upon himself the rest of the mitzvahs. Pretty shocking definitions. It looks like 3 methods is out there. Definition. Rabbi Meir, he accepted upon himself in front of the raising of idolatry. Chachamim, he accepted upon himself Shem is Roach. Chirim, he has accepted upon himself all of the mitzvos except the laws of Kashrus. He's not in kosher. Incredible. And the Raisa goes on. Yachadin etzlo yain ve'imachkitin etzlo yain. Vafilu be'er shurudu yisrael. So the halacha is you can constantly wine with a Ger Toshav, right? You can leave it with him for a little bit of time. I should say you can leave with him wine for a short amount of time, but you can't deposit with him wine for a longer amount of time. Now, what's the reason? What are we concerned about over here? We're concerned ultimately again that Rashi says, well, Rashi says over there, Allah, go no, but I'm asking. We're not going to come to us in the base of I know the fact, you think it's not a more, but like a relationship. So ultimately, I think we put a pleasant wine with him for a short amount of time. Not for a longer amount of time, because we're concerned in a swap out the juice wine for his own wine. Okay, and this is true even in a city where the majority of the inhabitants are Jews. So as I look at the Ger Toshav, you could leave with your wine for a short amount of time. Not for a long time. Again, we're not talking with Yain Nesa. Why are we not doing Yain Nesa? Because he's repudiated idolatry. Right? But we are concerned that over time, for a longer amount of time, he may switch his wine from the Jews. So for a short amount of time, it's mutter. For a long amount of time, also. Shmano kiyemo. So the Gemara says, and his oil is like his water. What is that? Shmano case, and I felt shemen mita havi yayin. That's not what we wrong with his oil. Oil can't be into that. Hello, yeno kishmano. Interesting enough, rather what it means is like this. That Allah for my son, that ultimately again is his wine. Excuse me. His wine is like his oil, just like it's very interesting. Just like his oil is permitted, so to ultimately again is his water. Now look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi Shmano b'ni Hamid Yeno Mutamano Kishmano Kutum Shotu Hashem Ba'afilo Kal Hava B'Shtia Asim. So what does it mean that his oil is like that? Excuse me. That his wine is like his oil. But the same way that you get hana from his oil, you can get hana from his wine. You can't drink the wine of but ultimately you can get hana from his wine. The shar called davar ultimately, and for every other thing, he is like a he's like an apple. Shimon Omer Yeno Yayin Nesa. Relay Mutter Va'amulei Mutter B'Shtia. Shimon says his wine is like Yayin Nesa, but others say ultimately again that it is Mutter ultimately again for consumption, for Shtia. So this will actually pause over here. We'll pick up in the next session. Actually, let's finish. Let's finish this again. What do you see from here? We see from here that Akum is like an Akum, is like an Akum regarding every other matter. Ultimately, again, what does it mean when we say that a Yerusha is like an Akum for everything else? What does that mean? To which the Gemara says, love in the so doesn't that mean, because again, how did this whole thing by Yerusha get started? Started was trying to figure out, does a Yerusha have the ability to negate idolatry? Theologically decommission idolatry. So now we just got finished saying that in this respect, a Ger Toshav is unique. But in every other matter, he's like an apple. Doesn't that mean that just as an apple can theologically decommission and negate that whole Sarah, so too can a Ger Toshav. So too can a Ger Toshav. To which the Gemara says, no, not what is up. No. Leaking Rishus in the Lato Rishus. No. It actually uses something else. It means actually both are shots. What does it mean for shots? What's it? What's it? Keep Sanya. It's showing the Lord. The Shamer Shabbos or Shabbos. It's just if you have multiple homes that open up into a courtyard, you cannot carry from a home into that into the courtyard. From a home to the courtyard without it. Right, Erev essentially means we collect food from all of the inhabitants of they join together, and that joint food makes it into the domain of one home. Remember, Erev is only to the Chatzar to the home. But the halacha is if you have a Jew who did not join into the Chatzar, he can yield his rights. Let's say if Shabbos started, forgot to participate in Ruben forgot to participate in the Erev, he can yield his rights to the other members of the Chatzar. If there is a non-Jewish resident, the halacha is you have to rent his rights. You cannot simply yield his rights, you have to rent his rights from you. So watch this. The Gemara says, Yisrael Momer, Shamer Shabasa B'Shok, Medata Rishusa. Ultimately, again, right? If you have the Yisrael Momer, which unfortunately again is the Yisrael, through an apostate. So as long as externally he's not an apostate, right? As long as externally, like right, in public he keeps Shabbos, privately he doesn't keep Shabbos, but at least in public he keeps Shabbos. And what's the halacha? Without the rishus, all he needs to do if he didn't participate in the Erev, he just needs to essentially yield his rights to someone else. Okay. Shemesh Shabbos in without the rishus, but again, if he publicly violates Shabbos, then essentially he's like if he's like an apple, then it's not enough for him to yield his rights of the chassid to the other residents. Rather, you have to rent his rights from him. Yisrael, no sin rishus from the rishus, right? Yisrael ultimately again has the ability to go ahead and yield his right, give up his rights or give over his rights to the other residents. But ultimately, you have to rent. So therefore, again, the Gemara saying that when you say, so just pause for Ketzad, Omer Lo, how does the Jew, for example, yield his rights or give over his rights to the Chazal? Omer Lo, Rishus Ikriya, I hereby give over my rights. I bequeath my rights to the Chazal to you, or Rishusi Mivukelas, or my rights are negated to you. Ultimately, it works for your purposes that Jewish residents acquire the rights of this non-participatory Jew group. They start this festival. You don't need any form of participation. So just in general, about Erev Fatiros, again, you need the participation of all Jewish residents. In general, if you have a Jewish resident who did not participate, even on Shabbos, he could yield his rights, or be Mabata, or just simply negate his ownership rights in the Chazal that allows everyone else to utilize the Chazal. Even if he's the Yisrael Mullah, as long as publicly he comes across as Jewish, ultimately, again, he could yield, or he could go ahead and, by an apple, you have to go ahead and acquire his rights. And the Yisrael Mullah, who is publicly a Mullah, is treated like an apple. So, therefore, when we said before that a Ger Tosha ultimately, again, is treated like an apple. For all other things, although they means that if you live in a chutzner with a Ger Tosha, you are choosing the chutzner want to make it Erev Fatiros, they must rent space, they must rent the rights, ultimately again, of the Ger Tosha as well. Now, whether or not the Ger Tosha is actually going to be the Mitzvah, in Eretz Yisrael will say, you'll see it tomorrow's daf. Shkayach Hadiwas, what a daf. Experience such as for all of you. Wishing everyone website. A great sponsorship TV will tell all of you this morning. Begin by thanking all of our sponsors for this morning's share. To thank our annual sponsor, Tilson Shachar Beretz for dedicating all the German Russians this year. This is for sales tables from Israel. And the sponsors for the month of Av, Abu Abu, Stephen Randy Drazen, in honor of their parents, Israel Drazen, Dina Drazen, and Rosenzweig, in memory of Stanley Rosenzweig on the Racha. Our week of learning sponsors, Dr. Anthony Faith Wolf, information of the yard site of Dr. Wolf's father, Cyrus Wolf Shalom, then Steve versions of the Racha, Nathan and Beth Adler, in memory of their father, Ben Adler, Father Baruch Mordechai Ben Moreno Ramos. The only sponsors for today, Jerry Applebaum, member of his beloved Rosalind Applebaum, Rachel Bas, Rebbe Aaron Kotel, and our Talmud Torah, all the traditional staff of their families, in all those who need their food, Shabbat, together with Kol Chol Ladies, Shabbat, Coach Baruch, Shabbat, Neres, Hashem, all of our hostages, Shalom, and Bukara, allow our holy soldiers to be successful in the full Sayyid. With that, let us begin. Today's daf is Samech Dalet 64. Really incredible daf ahead of us. Today we are picking up from Samech Gimel on the base 63b, and we are picking up 2, 4, 6, 7 lines up from the bottom. So Rav Nachman Ula Ba'adini Bar Papi. So again, Rav Nachman Ula Ba'adini Bar Papi. Yasser Abifi Abar Ami Gabai. Here Bar Ami was sitting with them. Yosef, the Kabbalah, he asked the following question. Listen to the fascinating aspect of this question. So, what is the halacha if an apple hires a Jew to smash barrels of yayin nesach? Right? So here, and so Apple comes over to you and says, I'm going to pay you $50 an hour. Do me a favor, smash these barrels of yayin nesach. Mahu, what is the halacha? Is the Jew allowed to receive and to accept and to keep the wages from this month? So remember again, in yesterday's daf we were dealing with the concept of funds or income that is generated from what may or may not be permitted activity or dealing with items that themselves may be usher dominant. So here, the uncle is asking me to do something with Yayin Nesach, but he's asking me to destroy Yayin Nesach. He's going to pay me for it. So am I allowed to keep those proceeds? The Gemara says, "But what's the halacha? Mir keep the roads big to the very interesting. On one hand, I want the existence of the Yayin Nesach. Now, why do I want the existence of Because if the barrels were to break on their own, I would lose the opportunity to break them and I'd lose the barrels. So I wanted, interestingly enough, I want the existence of the Yayin Nesach. So because I want it, therefore, again, maybe that makes the process work, but look at Rashi. Just a moment. Mir Minon Kibar, 3 lines up from the bottom in Rashi. Israel Zerlotze Bikiyunon Shofar Yosei. Jew actually wants the existence of these barrels. Shalom Yishtabru Shamei Lamb. I don't know, his moving doesn't want them to break on their own. Achi Shabre Boom, the So do we say that since the Jew actually wants, right, and this is interesting to think about it this way, right? If the Jew actually wants the yayin nesach to remain in existence, I don't want it, right? I don't want it to break on its own. So therefore, maybe that's considered to be proceeds from yayin nesach, and therefore, again, it's awesome. On the other hand, oh dear. This is the destruction of Yain's and construction of Avodah Zarah. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. Sure, one can also remain in existence, but again, ultimately, to destroy Avodah Zarah is a good thing, and therefore the proceeds ultimately again should be fascinating Shari. So Rabbi Rothschild says, Yishbar B'Kol Avlacha. Rabbi Rothschild says, no, take the job, Jew, take the job, get the money, and well, bracha, you should be blessed. You have the opportunity to go and do that Zara. That is a good thing. Take the money and go. So there's limit balance. Let's bring a proof to this. So let's say again, an apple plants July, right? July is for big fruits. So wheat, we had such just 2 days ago. Wheat and let's say, for example, wheat and grape farms. That's the kind of getting forbidden mixture. So if an Ovid Kohanim is planting Kilayim, the Jew can't go ahead and assist him in the like home, who needs to see covering the third. You can't do that. How about son of Malik? 64. About Ovid what can I do? I can uproot, right? I can uproot Kilayim. That I am allowed to do. Rashi about Ovid Lashlichel. Let's say the Apple hires me and they say, listen, silver, do me a favor, I planted the land now, again, but let's say again, he asks me to uproot it, I am allowed to do that even though I'm going to get paid for working with Kilai, right? And I want the distance of the Kilai, because if the client's going to uproot on their own, I lose out on myself. So the Gemara says. So it appears from here, this is to support the Rav. Rav says you are allowed to go ahead and benefit financially from a forbidden item when that benefit ultimately again results in the destruction of the item, even though you by definition want the continued existence of the prohibited item because you want to be the one who destroys it so you can get paid for it as opposed to so there's a Savua, second one from the top 60. Savua Hamani, who's a baby? It's Rabbi Akiva. It's Rabbi Akiva. Amar, and the kind of Kilayim look, it's very interesting. Rabbi Akiva holds in general. Not only is there a prohibition to plant Kilayim, not only is there a prohibition to go ahead and facilitate the growth of Kilayim, but you can't even do anything that sustains them. So, for example, Rashi points out over here that let's say someone has planted the Kilayim, right? Apple planted the Kilayim, and the Apple asks me to put up a fence around the Kilayim. Rabbi Akiva says, also, why? Because the act of putting up a fence, by definition, is part of the sustaining of Kilayim. Even though putting up the fence has nothing to do with the actual plant itself, nevertheless, it is going to be also going to be decided. Here we go. Nachish means eating, but Chanta means covering the seeds with dirt. So Nachish on the front of the Kilayim. Look at you get all this, right? Because again, that's kind of because there you're acting direct participating in the planting of Torah. Rabbi Kiva says, Rabbi Kiva says, even if you do anything to sustain the Kilayim, for example, put up the fence around the Kilayim, that's going to be problematic as well. So the says, my time, Rabbi Kiva. Where does Rabbi Kiva get that from? That's his logic. The problem, Satcha B'Tizra Kilayim. Plus it says, do not plant Kilayim in your field. In the Elazorea, I only know the prohibition of planting. The Kayim, how do I know that I'm not even allowed to do something to sustain the actual growth itself, like even like putting up the fence? Amalomar, Lo Kilayim. I suppose they say it's interesting here. The Lord's making a little bit of a play on words. A little bit of a play on words. So again, the Gemara is actually kind of splicing the house like Lo Kilayim. You can't do anything that ultimately, again, enables the existence of Kilayim, even if it's not directly involved with the actual plant itself, but just something that sustains it. That's going to be aswad. Ilu, Gemara says, V'ilu, the mi'utei tifla shak. But ultimately, interestingly enough, even according to the Akiva, right, according to the Akiva, the prohibition ultimately is considered that sustains the Kilayim. What about if somebody's willing to pay me to uproot the Kilayim? So the Pashtos, it sounds like that is going to be totally interesting. Gemara says, not necessarily. No, it doesn't have to be the opinion of Rabbi Kiva. Rather, Amman, whose opinion is this? Rabbanani. It's the Rabbanan. Rabbanan, my area, open a field to you. No, that's not true. According to the Rabbanan, if this is the Rabbanan, you want to put up a fence, right? Because the Rabbanan, only Rabbi Akiva, Rabbanan, nothing you can do with plants that planted, or actively do something that facilitates the growth of the plant itself. Some type of like supporting activity, like putting up a fence that is mutter. So if putting up a fence is mutter, and you can get paid for that, then certainly again you can get paid for uprooting the plant itself. So that's not going to be a problem. To which the Gemara said, as Hacham asked, this is very interesting. What's the case over here? The Ka'avid Bechina. Interesting. Where ultimately, again, I'm uprooting the Kilayim for free. Yaakov asked me to do it, and I'm doing it for free. So what's the problem? Ultimately, Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that Allah said you are not allowed to do a favor for him. Right? We actually had this in the beginning of our words. Our Lo Sechanim. So all about focus what Lo Sechanim means. Right? Doesn't mean don't compliment them or give them a skin on. Rabbi Yehuda says don't give them a skin. You can't work free. You can't do something for an action for free. Even if the free favor is destruction of Avodah Zarah, you still can't do it. So which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, Nishma, Rabbi Akiva, La. Now, the fact that you're setting this up for Rabbi Yehuda sounds like that according to Rabbi Akiva, this will not be permitted. Rabbi Yehuda, Asra Litin Lahem Matlasina, Aval Leneute Tifla Shakir. Gemara says, no. According to Rabbi Yehuda says it's true. You can't do a favor, so as to give a free gift. You can't do a favor for him, but to do something to Abu Avodah Zarah, that's absolutely permitted. That's a good thing. That's an objective benefit. I had Gemara says Rabbi Akiva. Even Nami, Alpha Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva, the kind of Kilayim look at Tifla Shapinon. You say same according to Rabbi Akiva. Even according to Rabbi Akiva was a more expensive, approach to the prohibition of Kilayim. They're not only Kinat planted, not only Kinat the actual planting itself, but you can't even put up a fence to sustain it. Even Rabbi Akiva would agree to uproot Kilayim to get rid of Isser. To get rid of prohibited is absolutely permitted, and you can get paid for that from the Jewish. The Gemara says, there is nothing else to go ahead and discuss about. It's great. This phrase, this is like in Talmudic equivalent of like a mic drop. The Sulamid. That's it. We're done. There's nothing more to discuss about this. So also, it's very interesting. Because therefore, what this means is ultimately, let's go full circle. How did we start with this? This all started by the case of an Abraham wants to break his barrels of yayin nesef. He asks me, he wants to hire me, a Jew, to go ahead and break. He's willing to pay me $50 a barrel. Right? So am I allowed to do it or not? So remember, on one hand, we can say no, because therefore that means I want the continued existence of the yayin nesef, and I'm benefiting from the Holy Zohar. On the other hand, I'm destroying the Holy Zohar. Rabbi Nachman said, do it and cover Allah. If it involves the destruction of a Zara, or for that matter, a prohibited item, even though, yes, I do want the continued existence of the item, so I get it. I don't want it to break on its own. I want to break it. I don't want the plant to be uprooted on its own. I want to uproot it. But nevertheless, I am permitted to go ahead and do these activities, get paid for them, and keep the proceeds, because the destruction of evil, the destruction of Zara, the destruction of prohibition ultimately is a good thing. It says you get paid and Tava Allah. Incredible. I must say there really is such an interesting idea, because kind of like part of Western society, the mindset is live and let live, and that is important as members of society. Just as a general approach to living in society, we should take an approach to living. Yes, it's not your obligation to convince the world. Nor is it your place to stand in judgment of everyone else's lifestyle choices or everything else. Live and let live. That's to a certain degree, that has to be our approach to living in society. On the other hand, we're also teaching us this idea that evil shouldn't be allowed to take root in our world. And when there's something that is evil, it has to be uprooted. When there's something that is evil, it has to be broken. When there's something that is evil, it has to be smashed, it has to be destroyed. Because if you let evil take root, then it spreads, and unfortunately it becomes the norm. And sometimes then those lines between good and evil ultimately again become incredibly. That's why the Matthew uses this question of, yes, destroy the yayin nesef and tava Allah because ridding the world of evil is a bracha. That is a bracha. It's not easy. It's not easy. And it's fraught with incredible challenges. We see this from what you think about. It's such an incredible thing that you think about what the nation of Israel, what the state of Israel is doing. It's rooting out evil. And somehow you would think that like the world would just line up, applause, right? Just flag. Because we're doing the world's dirty work. And yet again, it's hard because often the world can't see what's evil, what's good, can't see who's right and who's wrong. But when Nachman tells us sometimes there is a little like live, and sometimes when Nachman says Yishbar, sometimes you have to identify the evil, you have to break it, you have to smash it, you have to destroy it. And if you do it, ultimately the process is difficult. The process is brutal. The process is overwhelming. But ultimately, when you get to the other side of the process, that's where it's really no goes weiter. The Gemara goes weiter. Good. Hadri Yasvi, so again, the same Hebrew was sitting, and they asked about the question was Hadri Yasvi, they're coming by like, the May Avalos from the other no. So they'll say, this is very interesting. What happens if an apple sells his idol? So Apple sells his idol and he has now something for $1,000. He's got $1,000 in his hands. Does that money in the hand of the Apple take on the same identity as the Apple is beside of itself? No. Mito Fest has done that the other week. Does it take on the identity? Right? Does it take on the identity of the idolatry or not? So I'm going to run that for you. So it's very interesting. So ultimately, again, start with the let's put on the other covenant. So Nachman says, I think it's mortal. That if Akum sells his idol and he has that money does not retain an idolatrous identity, but rather that money is just one gain of money. Now, why? Listen to this. So here's our Nachman's proof. These people who came up around what happened? Another one, Zilu Zidinu Kabad Islafu, the Suez Scouts is fascinating. So Nachman says like this. There were these people who came up around and what happened? Also, Gada Barafua. And they wanted to convert. Rabbi told them, guys, before you convert, here's what you need to do. Sell off all of your idolatry, right? Sell off all of your idolatry, and then you have the cash. After you do that, then convert. Now listen, I watch this. What's the logic over here? Rashi says over here, if you look at Rashi, look at the Suez Skyru, all this Skyru, the African Skyru, Australian because remember, if they convert, it's still only idolatry, then that's idolatry owned by a Jew. Idolatry owned by a Jew, number one, can never be negated, right? Can never have its identity negated. They can't get Hanora from it. So it tells them instead before, while you're still Gentiles, sell it off, you have the money, then you can convert and the money is permitted. What do you see from there? Obviously, you see from here that Baruch sells his idol, that cash is permitted. So the Gemara says, my time, well, we shouldn't have covered them. Let's go have them. Let's get the full sale or idolatry, but are in the hands of the Akum. Ultimately, is permitted. I have to go shiny hustle. Even that I could lay Badai Batla. Maybe that case is different. Why is that case different? Because since they're in the process of conversion, obviously they're more they're negating the theological significance of the idol converting. So an Akum could be Bevanta. So maybe that's why the proceeds are. Elami the Hafa. Elami Hafa. Rabbi Gemara says, here's the proof. Yisrael Shai Moshe Rabbi Kochanim, Mana, Umafar Avodos Kochanim Behemi. I lent Akum $1,000. So what happened? So the Akum went and sold his idol, right? And brought me the proceeds from the sale. Or Yain Esek, or same case. I went ahead and I lent Akum $1,000. He sold his Yain Esek, and then he brought me the proceeds of the sale. What's that? Well, mutter. Ultimately, again, it's mutter. Okay, interesting. The Gemara says, now, however, watch this. Let's say the Akum sin case, the Akum $1,000, Akum sin case. So I don't want to repay you. To me, they were waiting here. I'm just going to sell my idol. I am back. I'm going to sell my Yayin Nesach. I'll be back with the proceeds. In that case, it's awesome. So again, interesting. Case number one. Same case. I lent Akum $1,000. Case number one. He goes off, sells his idol, goes off, sells his Yain Nesach. I have no idea what he's doing. He brings me the proceeds, pays back the debt. Case number two, same thing. I lent him $1,000. He said, "I want to pay you back. Give me a couple of hours. I got to sell my idol. I got to sell my Yain Nesach." He comes back with the proceeds. The proceeds are prohibited. I affected the Gemara. So what's the distinction? I don't understand. What's yours in these two cases? So this is very sort of sense. So now this seems to circle back a little bit to the previous sugya. Here's the difference. The second case, where the Akum says, wait here while I sell my idol, or while I go ahead and sell my wine, I want the continued existence of the idol and the continued existence of the wine. Why? Because I want to get paid. So because I want it, therefore, if Sheshas posits the proceeds of the hustle. Listen one second. If he wrote the Kiyuma Kia Gavna, so we just said before that that's mutter. In other words, I will say, when you want the continued existence of something, but I'm not doing anything to further the existence. So yes, of course, I want the continued existence of that idol until the Akum sells it because I want my money. I want to continue to exist of the Yain Nesach because I want my money. But I'm not doing anything to facilitate the continued existence of these prohibited items. Why should it be also? Vatinan, Vatinan, Shiyarshu at the end of the class. This is very interesting case. You have two brothers. One converted, and one they're both they're acting brothers, one converted and one is still. So brother Ger, brother Akum. So what happens? Their father died. Their Akum father died. Now they inherit their father. So they want to split the estate. In the estate is idolatry and Yain Nesef, and let's say permitted items. So Ger Yochel Lomar Lo Tom Ata Vodas Bechadim Animals. Tom Ata Yain Nesef Maniperos. So brother Ger can say to brother Akum, this is brother Akum, you take all the idolatrous stuff, you take all the Yain Nesef, and I'll take the money and the Neros. He can do that. Then you should go, and that's permitted. However, the Mishabadu Shusagir Asr, obviously, only this presupposes that the Ger has not yet actively taken possession of Yainesa or items. Obviously, once that happens, there's no more recourse. Right? But well, there is it's very seamless. You can get up into the Sarah, it's much more complicated. Once that you already owns it, there are really very limited options. So as long as brother Ger has not yet taken possession of these items, no problem. There's no problem dividing up the estate. However, if brother Ger already took possession, then it's possible. So ultimately, again, what do you see from here? The halach l'maisa. Now, in this case, brother Ger wants the continued existence of the idolatry, of the Yayin Esaf, but he's not doing anything active to promote his continued existence. And therefore, it's mutter. It's mutter. So what's the problem? What's the case over in this Mishnah? This Mishnah is talking about an idol that's made of gold or silver, which means that even if it breaks, it's still valuable. So therefore, again, brother Ger doesn't actually care if it remains in its full state or not. Because even if it breaks, who cares? It still has value. Which the Gemara says that's fine. That works fine for an idol. How would you explain the case then of Yayin Nesef? Cheres Hadrani. So this is very interesting. Hadrianic. So apparently, Rashi points out over here, Hadrianic earthenware ultimately is very absorbent. Therefore, when you put wine in there, the earthenware absorbs water to a degree that you can take a shard of that earthenware, put it in water, and reconstitute water. In that case, also, brother here doesn't who cares if the casks break or not. It doesn't make a difference because either way, the value is still retained. Even if that's so, even if brother Gad doesn't care about the fact that it's great, right? But he does care whether or not he gets stolen. Lost, so he still wants a continued existence. Papa, Pirushas, Hager Kamrat, don't bring a riot in this case. You're bringing a riot. Bring up this in the case of the inheritance of Hager. No. Shani Rushas Hager, Dakilu Barabba. Rabbis were makeled by the Yerusha. Normally, the Gemara says perhaps this case should be problematic. But halacha l'maisa, Chazal will make people by the Yerushalayim. And as long as the ger has not yet actively taken possession of the Yain Esef or the idols, he's absolutely committed to work this out with his brother people. Right? And so you take this, you take the whatever this stuff, I'll take the stuff. Even though, yes, he wants to continue existence. Why? Why would they make a by a ger? That people are Zera Shemin Yatsu. We are afraid yeah, has to make a choice between his money, his Yerusha, and his religion. He will choose his money, he will choose his inheritance. I will say that's not a knock on the gift. That's a reality of human nature. We've seen this before as well, for example, right? Some of us, as I showed, the Chazal said that in certain cases of theft, the thief doesn't always have to return that which he stole. Right? And the victim should not accept back the stolen item. Why? In order to go ahead and facilitate the thief's true. Great if the thief has to return everything, is not really corruption. It's difficult for people to engage in self-sacrifice when it comes to financial matters. Right? Money is necessary. Money is important, and as much as we say, like as long as you have your health, it's true. As long as you have your health, and you can pay your bills, right? Because if you don't have money, it just things are like becoming incredibly tough. And many people could not stand up to religious challenges. There was a choice between religion and they're afraid that the Ger, if he has to choose between halacha and ultimately again his Yerusha, he may be tempted to choose his Yerusha. Again, not because of the Ger, because it's human nature. So if a Chazal didn't want to put him in that situation, if they're going to make him by a Ger, and you're saying that often in this kind of case, you're going to have an estate that is comprised of permitted items and prohibited items. Therefore, allow him to keep the permitted items, give his akul rather than all of the prohibited. We'll say 100 days. Tanya Rachi writes that supports this. When is this so? Shirshu, in the case of Yerusha, Adam Nishtag, also. But in the case, let's say, of a business partnership, will be also. So you see from here, Chazal allowed certain things to happen in the context of Yerusha that they would not have been normally allowed to occur in other contexts as well, because you don't put the person in this, you don't put the Ger in this precarious type of situation. Incredible. So, other Yosef Haim. So remember again, all this is the same group of Rabbanim sitting together. Another question that came up. Ger Tosha no she Batva. So also this is a very interesting case. Can a Ger Tosha, go ahead and let's say just before we go on, just this idea that Chazal will make go by the Ger. Just so you understand the tremendous disrespect. Halacha is structured in a way to make us succeed. That a Ono Shalom wants us to succeed. Sometimes people have a very skewed view about Kodesh Baruch Hu, a very skewed view of that Kodesh Baruch Hu is waiting for us to mess up, so he can smack us down. Because I'm waiting for us to mess up, so we can levy some kind of punishment or penalty against them. Let's be further from the truth. The Moshe wants our success more than we want our success. Chazal wants our success more than we want our success. And all of the halachas, all of the rules, all of the strictures, any rule or punishments are only there to put us on a path to success, not to smack us down when we go ahead and we make a mistake. But again, Mishmarach understood what we need in order to be successful. Chazal understood what we need in order to be successful. And when they need to relax the standards to make us successful, they do it. It's incredible. They do it. When success is accomplished through relaxing of standards, Chazal do that. No, you have no greater advocate in this world. That's in this world than the next world. In this world, Chazal constantly in the for successes. Okay, another question. Other Yosef Ger Toshav, Mav Shebat Velas Comes. What's very interesting, Can a Ger Toshav go ahead and abolish or negate idolatry? Remember, an Akum has the ability to negate his Israel, thereby decommissioning it from its status of theological significance. So a Ger Toshav, listen, well, what is a Ger Toshav? Now we're going to see this is about the definition of a Ger Toshav. Rashi points out during the top of the daf, Ger Toshav, Eino Ovid Avodas Kef. Ultimately, again, he doesn't worship idolatry. But again, he's like an apple in everything else except he doesn't worship idolatry. It's a pretty good thing. Right? He believes in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He believes in God. He doesn't worship idolatry. But in every other respect, he's a non-Jew. So does such a person have the ability to decommission idolatry, to negate idolatry? Gemara says, on one hand, we say only one who worships idolatry can decommission idolatry. Or maybe not. Or we say like this: anyone who's what we call a bar mineh, if you're in the parsha of an apple, then you can go ahead and decommission all this other. And this guy is in the parsha. He's not Jewish. He's not Jewish. So because he's not Jewish, he's in the parsha of an apple. So because of that, even though Baruch Hashem, he himself doesn't worship idolatry, but he has the koach to go ahead and negate it. I'm going to rule that. So I'm going to also have this stablo, the koach from the battle will. And says no, only someone who worships it can negate it. But someone who doesn't worship idolatry cannot negate idolatry. Therefore, the Ger Toshav doesn't have the ability to negate idolatry. So went ahead and found idolatry in the marketplace. Found much in the marketplace. What's that level? Actually, Boston level. So let's say, I remember again. So let's say, right, listen to this case. I'm walking in the shop. I'm walking in the marketplace. I see a gold idol sitting there on the ground. If I lift it up, that's probably not right because they haven't covered it. And once it's been acquired by a Jew, essentially it can't be decommissioned. So what do I do? So before I pick it up, I can call over an apple. Remember, call over an apple and say, is the apple? I need you to negate this idolatry, decommission it. Right? Theological decommissioning. So go ahead and engage in theological decommissioning of this work. Right? It's permitted. However, again, in Mishabasa Liyogo, Eino Omri Ovid Kahumabakwa. But again, if I take it out, right, if I take possession of it, at that point it cannot be decommissioned. Ovid Kochavim Medava Avodas Kochavim Shalom Shafadeh. Ovid Kochavim to decommission his own Avodah Zarah or the Avodah Zarah of his friend. Bein Ovda, Bein She'in Ovda. Whether he worships it or he doesn't worship it. Find what this means. My Ovda or my Ovda. What does it mean the word? What does it mean that he can decommission Avodah Zarah? Whether he worships it or doesn't worship it. If you want to say that, what we're talking about in Hebrew, then Hainu Shalot Shafadeh. We already said that. We just said before that Hebrew has the ability to theologically decommission his Avodah Zarah. Well, in the Avodah Zarah of his friend. And a lot of the Ovid right? Ultimately, again, Ovda means an actual akor. So what does it mean? A non-worshipper? Ger Toshav. Oh. So who is able to go ahead and decommission? What's an actual? Gertosha
What a fuck.
what do you see from here? That a Gertosha has the ability to be
Yeah, what do you think?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I also was incredible. It wasn't the greatest documentary I've ever seen in my whole life, but I enjoyed it. What did you think? What did you think?
I think it's interesting the bond that people should have with animals. How they can be shown in these different competitions. And I find it interesting, like the people who are like, we never do that. Like, I'd like to see one of them, some of the other people would. If there was like a front runner who are winning these competitions, I found that interesting as well.
And both worship Papa.
It was okay.
Both worship
Worse than that. Better than Pet Cemetery. Still not hands on heart body.
His friends I know.
Not hands on a hard body. Yeah, no. I liked it. I like the look of all the chicken. I like the look of all the chicken. Like the shaky ones, really fluffy, like what they call it? They come in other colors. Those chickens look very cool. It was interesting seeing the backstory of the people that raised the chickens, and the singer guy who was like stars in the 60s and theater thing. I thought he was pretty funny. Dog
Exactly. There's some issues that I have with the dog show. Not that I don't want the dogs. I think that's cool, but the over obsession with pure breed, what occurs is like.
But again,
Damage to the animal, where they can't breathe well, or to the breed, so they can't breathe well, they don't reproduce, you can over perfect sort of stuff. It didn't seem like that was being done too much in the chickens like that, but if that blew up, it would. And I also respect. There's a thing. There was like a movement that happened, like maybe the last 20 years. Urban coops. Basically, you can have chickens. Urban area, and you can't in Irvine, but in some areas of Los Angeles County, you can. And so there were some celebrities who I learned of, Joe Rogan being one of them, who would keep a coop. He was in Ventura County, but he was close enough. And how they bond with these chickens, they say hi to them every day, they feed them all the time. They don't want to kill them. They let them reproduce. Well, I shouldn't even say reproduce, just lay eggs or whatever. And there's like certainly a bond, and that's something that I always thought if I ever had a piece of property, I would like to do fresh eggs, but that was important to me. And it seems like these people took it to another level of like having perfect dams and perfect chickens. And I like the different looks of the birds. Chickens can be ferocious. I mean, they're small, but they're like linked. I guess we all are, but evolutionarily to dinosaurs. And they can be quite dog-like, or they can be loyal, and you can see emotion out of them. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. There's not more to it that I had of the documentary. I can say it didn't speak to me like, oh, I have to go out and get a chicken foot now or anything like that. But the process was interesting too. I think at least in the United States, I'm not sure, but there's like an organization called 4-H where people raise animals and basically have them on display for judging and such. And this seemed to be that, but the playoffs of that. Like basically, this was like a national thing, and
accepted upon himself
just
the rest of the
just interesting to see the dynamics that people have with animals. And I always think that's interesting.
really not always at the definition of their function. Rabbi Meir,
Oh
he accepted upon himself in terms of his
national competition there existed
he has
before
accepted upon himself all of its
documentary. Do not even think that there's a chicken contest or whatever. That was really good.
Yeah,
Like that, the sound and like the noise of the convention space that they're in. There's like so much trucking and stuff. I don't really like the noises of the chicken at all. And then also, it seemed like chickens, they were saying that they're like dogs, and I get that they love them as much as a dog or whatever, but and their chickens in the contest seem to be like very loving and fun. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like dogs. There's a bunch of friendly ones and then some that are not friendly at all. I was contemplating the hypothetical thing, but I don't know. I think there would be like a decent amount of work that you have to give, and then kind of, if you don't love chicken, maybe you love eggs so much, but I know someone, like, I've been to their house and I didn't know chicken. She has like 25 chickens or something running around, and they take up a lot of space, and then she just has a surplus of eggs, and she sells the eggs and stuff. I think you have to clean up food, and I don't like the fact that if you, like, these people are trying to they go into the house and like chickens just chilling on their couch and stuff. I feel like you can't really train a chicken not to poop and stuff. So you have to put like a little chicken diaper, and there's I thought like chicken running around the house doesn't seem
I agree. I think
either party. Maybe this is talking about it, but I don't want to run
I don't know. I think that there's maybe, I don't know. I know people make chicken coops. That's been a thing for like hundreds of years. But they get so nasty that it's almost like it just seems to me like absolutely disgusting that I would want to, instead of having to clean one of those out, just burn that thing when it's done, and then just buy another one. Or, I mean, not burn one perhaps, but somehow have it, I don't want to have anything to do with that thing. It just seems like it gets too nasty. So I was thinking, like, what if you created one using ecologically, environmentally friendly product? I think you could do this. What have I seen? I think hemp. So a major issue is like hemp. There are major issues like with plastic waste, obviously, and they make hemp plastic bottles. Like you can make plastic out of other things than petroleum, and some organic material is included in that. And hemp is one of them. And the issue with these hemp plastic bottles is They work really well. They're just like a normal classic throttle. And this is it's not a problem. It's what it's supposed to do. After I think 6 months or a year, the bottle starts to deteriorate purposefully, so that it basically goes back into the ecosystem. So I was thinking if you created a hemp plastic chicken coop that you could just buy on Amazon, set it up. Maybe you have to add the heat lamps and things or whatever. And you have like a piece of property. You just set this thing up every 6 months to a year, and basically the thing would just biodegrade on its own. And you have your chickens. I just want to get away from the cleaning of the chickens. So you basically have your chickens who are they go in their biodegradable coop, and that thing is good for like let's say a year. You could get it to a year. Okay, and then after a year you buy another one on Amazon. You could even have it just shipped to you with like a schedule, and then you just have the chickens go to the new coop. They do their thing. The old coop just basically just biodegrades on your property. You don't have to burn it. You don't have to get rid of it. It just goes away after like 2 or 3 years. And then you would just keep buying these coops, and then you never have to clean them out. What are your thoughts?
I think it's very funny and clever idea. But I don't know enough about raising chickens, but I feel like you have to clean the chicken coop probably, I'm assuming more than once per year, because I'm assuming there'd be poop that's piling up all the time. Like with hamsters, you gotta clean their little nests, like for a single hamster, like once a week or twice or every 2 weeks or something. So I imagine if you have 50 chickens around, like, you're gonna have to clean it up. And maybe the price of printing these like biodegradable chicken coops would be so minimal that you could just get a new one every single week or something. But yeah, I was also thinking as you were talking about this, that maybe I could get self-cleaning coop, like it has like a built-in washing system already in it. And I'm sure that's possible with enough money and resources. But I don't know how they're clean existing chicken coops to begin with, and I don't. If it's anything like a hamster, and you have like a little nesting stuff, then it's not much of a burden to clean up. I mean, maybe like what I'm imagining burden is like just like eagle shit on like wood, it's baked into like the wood, and you have to scrub it out for hours. But I imagine if there's like some nesting layers between that you just pretty easily like sweep out the nesting and replace it.
Yeah, it still sounds disgusting, and yeah, it's like the seedling thing. It's going to be everywhere. So there are perhaps different ways to do this. You could maybe somehow train chicken to not usually get shrimp canal scoop, but that seems like somebody would have tried that already and figured it out. Perhaps there's some kind of pharmaceutical that could be used where they, for whatever reason, don't want to use the restroom within a closed environment. There's just something within the pharmaceutical that makes them want to go in an open area. That's certainly an option. I've seen these stairs. Okay, so like you're talking about like a hamster, that usually has like a metal grate with like bedding, and then you clean the bedding, but you'd still have to spray the grate down and such. That doesn't seem like that big of a work, but if they're going to the bathroom in the coop, that whole thing inside is just going to be filled over the course of the coop. You could always pay someone to do it, but then it's like, okay, these are the most expensive eggs that you've ever had, because you basically literally have to have a farm to do it. I was thinking along the same lines, like a robot that could do it. Okay, so imagine exactly. Imagine just pure stainless steel box that you could just, when the chickens are in the yard or whatever, you could just spray it down, or it could just spray itself down. That it just has like almost like a car wash system inside, it just sprays itself, and then it's a self-cleaning chicken coop. And then the chickens go in there, and they enjoy. And that to me probably is more of a sustainable option than something that biodegrades every so often or whatever. You're going to run into issues with that though, that it would have to be temperature controlled. Like you can't just have these chickens baking in the box. But you know, if it's shaded or whatever, and there's proper ventilation, I think that you could make that kind of system. Like, okay, imagine like how you could do this out of a container, like the shipping. Like that's a little big. You wouldn't need something that big, but maybe you cut the shipping container in half, and then just close off the other half, and then it's just got like a power washing system inside, and it's climate controlled, and the chickens get to enjoy it, and it's just this little. I still think that's probably too big. I'm trying to probably be too environmentally cautious there. You just have a box. I think probably is the best way, depending on how many chickens you get. Usually people have like 12 or even 24 or whatever. And then the box just like you could even get this thing to be fully automated, where every day the box just opens up, and the chickens know when that happens. They go outside, they eat bugs and stuff in the yard or whatever, and then when they want, they can go back in at night. It makes sure that all the chickens come back in or whatever. There should be a sensor on it. You could really get this thing to be pretty advanced. Now, how expensive is it going to be? I think you probably could make this box with some systems on it. Nothing too advanced for probably between like $5,000 and $10,000. Is it going to be worth it for the price of eggs? No, but there's something to having farm fresh eggs delivered whenever you want, and the bond that you're going to build with these animals. I don't know. What do you think of the box system?
Self-cleaning work, chicken robot system. I mean, for 10,000, I mean, 5,000, I think is like the price roughly of an actual just like the treat that you assemble yourself in your backyard, like Joe Rogan. I think it'd be probably closer to 10,000 plus for like the auto cleaning one. That's my guess. Is my guess. I don't know enough about chicken coops and how much of a hassle it is to clean them currently. If people are just like taking the hamster egg and then just scooping out the bedding or something. Because if there's like that like fluffy like bedding stuff, and then something on the wood you feel directly, and I don't think it'd be too bad to clean it out. But I really have no idea how big of a problem it is really currently. But it does, even if it wasn't too much of an automated system, would be good, and maybe there'd be like ants and like hawks or something, like there's the male chicken or like sacrifice itself with like a hawk tame. Maybe there should be like some hawk protection laser system built in.
As I understand, you don't want to have like a rooster when you have that kind of setup, because you want the hens laying eggs, so you want the egg to be unfertilized. You only bring a cock around a rooster around when you want more chickens, as I understand it. But yeah. Okay, so they have these restrooms now. They have them in some beach cities, at least in Southern California, but I think they first started in Europe, where every time you use the restroom, it just like shuts down a box and sprays it all out, and like basically sanitizes the restroom every single time it's used. And I'm thinking a system like that could work. There are a lot of
they have these public restrooms that were self-cleaning, I believe. Even in like
that's what I'm saying.
And they're fully self-cleaning public restrooms.
What is the
But they went up significantly because they're really expensive to maintain or something, or the technology. There's just some problem with it that was they didn't continue using it for some reason. But it was a thing at some point that they had to
They've installed them in some big cities where I know that the issue that we encounter people living in them, or they're supposed to have little arms on them and have people eventually have to leave. But if they use it, they use it. But what we're talking about is just basically the making this type of system. And I don't understand why you couldn't connect a hose to a box and a metal box and have that box have a little motor on it that has like heat lamps and like perhaps some type of like ventilation, and then just have it once a day. It can't turn on if the bird is inside, and it's almost like like I'm sure you could make it so it's got cameras in it, so that you can see what's going on outside. I know adding all this technology increases the price, but I'm thinking you could get this at $10,000, and that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, for like a small group, I'm not gonna make chickens really cold, so it's not that complicated with technology. It's really a hose and a sprayer, and I don't know if the chickens are required to have like bedding that needs to be replaced. But even if it did, I'm sure like there could be scraper thing, like a windshield wiper, and like a little bit sprayer thing that sprays new bedding. It seems pretty basic. It might actually exist already, and we don't know the
They make these little balls for chickens that I think are cool. So you were talking about the issue with like hawks. I think a big one is always coyotes. Coyotes are the ones that killed Joe Rogan's chicken coop. We have them. I think they're in like every state in every region, so I'm sure they're and you basically could have the chickens. You could ensure that they're in some kind of ball, even if you have to so that they're protected. The thing is, you might have to clean up the balls, but that's okay. That seems like it could be a small that wouldn't even necessarily.
So those balls are made of like wire, like metal wire. So if you're in like the sun, maybe it gets baked into like the wire, and then since it's like metal wire spears, you have to scrub them down. But maybe you could power wash them off.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm in agreement. But that would protect them when they're in the yard. And the issue would arise though that you got to get them out of there. I mean, this is all like, hey, how do you want to? We've spent like 200 years in the Industrial Revolution, so people don't have to be farmers. But then, like, how do you go back to being a farmer? That's a lot of time. Like, I'm not sure that many people are going to do this, but I could see that it might be something that somebody wants to do. And so, you have a box, and You have the birds in there, and it cleans itself. And then perhaps you have like a little greenhouse that it has chicken wire, so that stuff can't get in from the outside, and it's self-sustaining. I can see that happening.
It's kind of like the lamb thing
Exactly.
versus
Exactly.
camping. There'd be like the stigma of like, oh, it's just like you're rich, and so you pay for your automated luxury chicken thing where you don't have to do any work at all. And people that own chickens are going to actually not do as much as you paid your way out of doing any work.
I could see it like for a community. Like we have community gardens and community gardens and stuff where not every single person necessarily needs their own, or perhaps like a small neighborhood could have the chicken. Now I understand you're going to run into issues with, hey, he took my egg or she took my egg or whatever. I get that, but maybe
you can have like a lockbox with them.
yeah. Yeah. Now there's the issue with getting the eggs. As I understand, you have to. I mean, as I've always seen it, you go in and then you stick your hand in under the chicken because they incubate. And so maybe, oh, I've seen that system automated though. Now that's in an industrial setting, but basically when the egg is laid, it goes down like a little ramp that keeps it protected, and then so I bet you could do that. I bet you could do that for a little box. Just have little sitting quarters for each of the animals. They're all perhaps stainless steel or maybe really hard plastic that can take a really intense cleaning. And then when the chicken lays the egg, it comes down some type of ramp, and then each person or each household gets like has their like section of free eggs.
Direct pneumatic tube connected to each.
You know that's what I think is the future of delivery.
Oh yeah. Like in the movie The Elf, when he goes down in the pneumatic tube, and there's like suction sending every parcel. Is that actually real, you think, in those mail rooms? Is that how they work?
I mean, I used it in a bank, and he would send things that weren't just paper. He would send a pen, IDs. So long as it's not that heavy, yeah. And the bigger the machine, the bigger the tube, and more force, you could send anything theoretically. Like every bank in the United States has 40 years.
I've never seen such.
You've never seen the pneumatic? They don't have pneumatic tubes in banks in Canada?
Is it inside the bank or is it like outside the bank?
It's both. So you have a teller who is in the drive-through window and uses a microphone to talk to people in the drive-through. And I mean, I used to do this. You welcome the person. They put in their check to get cash, their ID. There's a pen in the pneumatic tube container. They put it through in this little suction tube. It sucks up from the outside into the inside. It drops in this little box. You open up the box where the tube is. You look and see what they want to do. Usually, at least in the financial institution where I was, you didn't do really complicated. You wouldn't do really complicated things in the drive-thru. This was usually just, hey, I need $100 or whatever, withdrawals and deposits and such. And then people would cash their check. You would put the money in an envelope, maybe with an invoice or a receipt, just depending whatever it was going to be. And then they would sometimes have to sign it. And then you send the money. And we had a thing that if somebody drove away with the pneumatic tube container, they would get like it would be charged in their account. They would get charged, I think like $50 or something. But they usually always brought them back because we needed those. We had extra ones in case anybody. Yeah, this has been like a thing. My whole life.
Did you work? Yeah, for the bank.
Yeah, when I was 18 years old. 18 to.
Didn't know that. So you're straight up dealing with the pneumatic tubes in the drive.
Absolutely, that's why I'm such a big fan of pneumatic tubes. They work beautifully. Stuff didn't get stuck. They worked really consistently, and they were really quick. They allowed people to drive their car in, cash a check for $1,000. All they had to do is put their ID in, and even today they didn't even have to do their ID. And then it just sucks through. It's a little loud, but nothing super loud. It might sound like for like maybe 5 seconds it sounds like a vacuum, and not even a super loud vacuum, but it just sucks through. The thing comes down, boom. You open it up, and then do whatever they need. I mean, this is not a thing in Canada. You don't have pneumatic tubes in your financial institutions in your bed.
I've only been to a handful of bank drive-throughs. It's kind of a strange thing, the bank drive-through. Because here they're basically just ATMs that you drive your car right next to it. There's no pneumatic tube.
Yeah.
In the ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
They might
That's
exist
a good
somewhere.
point.
With yours, it seems like why wouldn't you just go inside if you needed to send your ID and stuff? Don't you have to tell the banking person what you want?
Yep, there's a microphone and there's a camera, and it's just about speed. Hey, I don't want to have to go and wait in line inside the bank. I might have to wait a little while. The drive-thru is open. I don't have to get out of my car. The United States is very car-centric, and Southern California in particular. You don't see these as much anymore because they have invented that ATM that will cash checks for you. So this is basically, in many ways, made this type of necessity obsolete, but I still see it, and it's still a thing.
Even though, yes, I do want the continued existence.
I wish I could. There's more pneumatic tubes to interact with.
I agree with you. It was really fun. So at least the drive-thrus that I would run, I didn't so much like to do the drive-thru. There were some tellers who absolutely loved it. I didn't. I like to be with the people. But those type of transactions are a lot of times much more complicated. But that's okay. The drive-thru was always seen as a place where fraud could happen easier because people were in their car, they could kind of try to keep their face covered and things. But we didn't really run into it. Anyway, there were like 3 or 4 lanes, depending on the brand. The one closest to the glass window, many times did not even have a pneumatic tube. It was just literally like a drawer that you could pass things in between the building and the outside. Then there was a second lane that